Welcome to Alive and Well, the podcast for the new era of high achievers. You're done burning out, and you're ready to lead, work, and live in a rhythm that honors both your brilliance and your body. I'm your host, Michelle Grosser. I'm a trial attorney turned nervous system strategist, and I've lived the burnout story. I know what it's like to chase your goals at the expense of your well-being. And I also know it doesn't have to be that way. Here, we're redefining success. It's where productivity feels peaceful, boundaries feel like freedom, and energy comes from within. Each week, I'll share practical tools for nervous system regulation, time mastery, and somatic strategies so you can show up with clarity, calm, and confidence in every part of your life. Because you, my friend, were given a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So here's to life and living it fully. This is the path to feeling alive and well. Let's dive in. Hey, it's Michelle here. You're listening to Alive and Well. Welcome. On the podcast today, for the best things you can do to regulate your nervous system. I think this is going to be really helpful. You can't heal your mind or your body for that matter in the presence of chronic stress, right? Full stop. It's just not going to happen. And I think so often we spend money and time and all the resources on supplements and really the energy you're spending trying to heal without removing chronic stress. From my experience, personally, I've lived this, and with my clients, it's mostly wasted because the truth is that I think so often, we see our medical providers and they're like, hey, I can give you this medicine that will treat your symptoms. But what you really need to do is go home and identify your stressors and lower your total stress load, right? We hear that all the time. And in reality, stress is cumulative. It's not so much like the single incident or the hard day or the tough conversation, or it's the poor sleep. It's the blood sugar roller coaster. It's the endless notifications. It's the unprocessed emotions. It's all of those things. And each one of those adds weight to our nervous system cumulatively, right? It builds up until it just kind of tips us into this chronic survival mode. But there's good news. Healing doesn't really require some big extreme protocol. It doesn't require this, one-time retreat. It actually comes from daily habits that we build into our life. It's the little things that we do consistently. So that's really where I want to focus our time today. I want to share 4 of the best things that I personally practice every single day to help keep my nervous system regulated and resilient. So let's get going. The first thing you can do to regulate your nervous system, and I think, guys, this is one of the most underrated, probably because it's uncomfortable, but it's made the biggest difference for me. And it's number 1, process and express emotions. Actually feeling your emotions. So much research on this, you guys. This is not just nice to do woo-woo. This is research backed. Places like Harvard Medical School have done research and studies that show that when our emotions are suppressed, instead of allowing them to express and release, they get stored in the body as physiological stress. Suppression, holding our emotions in, it keeps our cortisol elevated. It keeps our adrenaline elevated. It increases systemic inflammation. It weakens our immune function. And over time, you guys, that contributes to so many things: anxiety, gut issues, autoimmune flare-ups, and burnout. But on the flip side, when we can communicate to our body that it's safe enough to actually feel these things instead of just shoving them down, when we allow ourselves to emotionally express, maybe it's crying, maybe it's shadow boxing in your kitchen when you're feeling really frustrated or upset, Maybe it is journaling and allowing some of that stuff to move through you. Maybe it is verbally processing it. Maybe it is, screaming into a pillow or doing pillow slams or wall pushes or just doing like sprints in your driveway when you have big emotional energy that needs to move from things like anger. When we allow that to express, it helps to deactivate our amygdala, that fear center in your brain. So it helps to deactivate that, but it also helps to re-engage our prefrontal cortex. That's the part of our brain that we need to see things from other perspectives, stay calm, feel regulated in our emotions. And, what does this look like in real life? When I started this type of work, and you guys have probably heard me say this before, I thought I was super chill. I thought I was super calm. And what I meant by that is that I didn't get reactive, right? I wasn't a yeller. I wasn't a screamer. Things that seemed to really bother other people or frustrate them or whatever. Like I was just kind of like, it's not really a big deal. Part of that I think was true. Nature, nurture, what have you. But most of it is that I was just in extreme denial about my emotions. So actually I was a pro at not feeling anger or frustration or sadness or all of these things because I was just so good at suppressing them, right? My husband would say something that would really rub me the wrong way or frustrate me or bother me, but I wouldn't address it. And I would just shove it so far down so quickly that I convinced myself that it didn't bother me. So I was really separated from my body. I was really separated from my emotions. And it took me time, one, to realize that. And then second, to know what to do with it. Because for whatever reason, right, probably multitude of reasons, it wasn't safe subconsciously for me to feel these things, right? Maybe it was that I had paradigms around emotions. I didn't want to be weak. I didn't want to be dramatic. I didn't want to be whiny. Maybe it was that I had paradigms around what it meant to be strong, right? And I wanted to be a strong woman. So that meant I couldn't feel emotions. Maybe it was that, deep down, I didn't want to have someone else feel like they had to make me feel better. And I didn't want to be a burden, right? And there was something that I was tying to emotions there. Whatever it was, it took time for me to feel safe enough to let this stuff come out and express. So at first it looked like, hey, if I feel that lump building up in my throat, we're having a conversation and I'm starting to feel like I might cry, I'm actually going to honor that, right? And I'm actually going to let the tears fall and let myself be seen crying instead of shoving it down and pretending that I've got a plan. I'm going to fix it. It's not bothering me. I'm strong, what have you, right? Maybe it was anger, right? When something was happening, like when my kids were just fighting with each other, it was one of those days that I'm like, everything's going wrong. Instead of just like picking myself up by my bootstraps and pretending I'm okay, I would actually let myself feel anger in a healthy way instead of just like suppressing it and pretending that everything's fine, right? I would let it get out of my body. Sometimes I'm just naming the emotion out loud, right? Like I'm so hurt by that, or I'm so disappointed by how this turned out. Just naming our emotions alone lowers activation in our brain. It's called affect labeling. It signals safety. So if you want your nervous system to know that it's safe so it can actually come back to baseline stress level, you have to show your nervous system that you can metabolize emotions rather than just hoard them, right? Stockpile them like I was doing. So every time you let a wave of emotion actually rise and you greet it with compassion instead of judgment or criticism, and you allow it to express, you teach your nervous system, we can handle this. And that is so healing when it comes to regulating your nervous system. So that's the first thing. The second, and this is interesting, is following your impulses. Okay. Following your natural impulses. I don't mean a lack of self-control, right? Self-control is something different and it's also so important. What I'm talking about here is following your impulses as in honoring your body's basic cues. Okay. News flash. we don't have just 5 senses, right? We grew up learning we have 5 senses. No, we don't. We have more than 5 senses. We have 9 senses. We have a sense called interoception. Neurobiologically, we have an interoceptive network in our body, especially the insula in our brain. And that is constantly scanning our body for those internal signals and sensations. I'm talking things like hunger, thirst, fatigue, tension, right? When you ignore those signals, when you skip a meal, right? When you work through lunch, when you are exhausted, but you still have so much to get done that you push past the exhaustion, right? When you deny yourself bathroom breaks because you don't have time to go to the bathroom. Yes, I see you. I've been there. Your nervous system interprets all of that as unsafe. You're continuing to ignore your body's signals and cues. That is a threat, right? It's like you're abandoning yourself. And what happens? Your body responds. Your stress response ramps up. So when you respond to those impulses, honor your body's basic cues. Drink water when you're thirsty, right? Stretch when you're stiff. Close your eyes for a few breaths when you're tired. Take a break. You're reinforcing trust between your body and your brain. Trust is safety. Safety is regulation. So what does this look like in practice? I mean, you probably know when and how you're ignoring your body's basic cues, okay? If you eat lunch away from your desk, that's a good thing. Instead of ignoring your body's basic hunger cues, right? That would be awesome. That would be great to put this into practice. Maybe it looks like taking a 10, 15, 20-minute nap, or just closing your eyes, or putting on a non-sleep deep rest meditation for 10, 15 minutes when you feel like you're dragging, instead of just like pushing through and powering through and getting to the next, meeting or email or what have you. Maybe it's letting yourself pause to stretch and soften when you notice that your jaw has been clenched all morning, right? Or when you notice that you're trying to make dinner and you're wearing your shoulders up by your ears like earrings, right? All that tension. It matters. It matters because the simple act of listening to your impulses, you guys, reduces our allostatic load. What's our allostatic load? It's the wear and tear of stress, chronic stress in our bodies over time. And when we reduce allostatic load, over time, that lowers our baseline cortisol levels. It improves our sleep. It increases our resilience. So we're actually able to handle more stress without being sent into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Big time game changer. Follow your impulses. Honor your body's basic cues. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, the third thing we're going to talk about today, as far as best things you can do to regulate your nervous system, is getting your body outside. Spend time in nature. Nothing, and I mean nothing, regulates me and most of us human beings faster than being outside, right? Get yourself outside. Sunlight, fresh air. Points if you can move your body outside and be in green spaces, right? I live in the middle of downtown Houston. In a lot of ways, it's a concrete jungle, but there are beautiful parks and walking paths built through this city. And man, I can get to one of those parks in like 6 minutes from my house downtown. And the minute that I'm there, and like I can still hear the cars going by, but I can't see them. And I'm surrounded by trees and I'm walking along the bayou, I feel myself coming back to life. And for you, maybe that looks like going for a walk around your neighborhood. Maybe it looks like going to your favorite park or walking trail. Maybe it looks like going for a hike. Maybe it looks like going to the beach. Maybe it looks like going snowshoeing. Like wherever you live, make it a priority to get outside. And we know subjectively, right, how it feels when we spend time in nature, how good it feels, right? How we feel grounded and calm and energized and refreshed. But we also have decades of data on this, you guys. Spending just 20 minutes outside lowers our cortisol levels. It reduces our sympathetic nervous system activity. So it reduces our fight or flight response. It increases our parasympathetic activation, which is our rest and digest response. I talk about it all the time, but sunlight exposure, right? Getting sunlight in your eyes. It anchors your circadian rhythm, which improves your sleep quality. It stabilizes your mood because it increases serotonin production throughout the day, which is then converted to melatonin at night. Natural chemicals that are released by trees have been shown to boost our immune function and lower our blood pressure. So just get outside, you guys. It doesn't have to be this long, drawn out 3-hour hike. Like even today, I dropped my kids off at school. I came back. I have 742 things I have to get done today. But I know that if I take 25 minutes and just put on my running shoes and get outside and move my body and then come back, everything is more efficient and effective during the day. And I feel so much better doing it, right? Maybe it just looks like sitting on your porch with your morning coffee instead of staying inside in the dark, right? Maybe it looks like a short, just walking barefoot in the grass in your backyard. Maybe it's picking your kids up from school and taking them to the park and like actually noticing the trees and the greenery and the flowers and the birds. And maybe it's like walking laps around the playground instead of just sitting on a bench and scrolling your phone. Whatever it looks like, time in nature will regulate your nervous system. It's one of the most primal regulators that we have, right? Our nervous system has evolved in relationship with the natural world. And when we're inside all day long under fluorescent lights and glued to our screens, the reality is that our biology is confused. It's not how we were created to function. So get outside because your body remembers. And then the fourth one I want to go through today, the number 4 of the best things you can do to regulate your nervous system. This is so obvious, but I have to talk about it. Get off your phone, right? Get off your phone. It's something we all struggle with. Phone consumption, screen time. I know for me, like I've seen how much of an impact when I limit screen time, such a difference that it makes for me. We know that not only is it like the blue light thing, you guys, but phones are a constant stressor. There is a correlation subconsciously, right, between picking up our phones and then people needing something from us or complaining to us or something to add to our to-do list, right? All the notifications that come through, emails, Slack messages, they trigger these micro bursts of cortisol and dopamine. And when we're kind of doing that all day long, it creates this loop of not only anxiety, you guys, but also craving. And then the blue light, right? We know about how much blue light exposure, especially at night, disrupts our melatonin and our circadian rhythm, and it can cause problems with our sleep. And then that also can increase so many things, right? We're not sleeping well, increasing our risk of anxiety and depression. And we know what happens with social media, right? When we get caught up in comparison, what it does to our brain, it activates brain regions that are actually tied to shame and social threat. And when we talk about the neuroscience, there's a concept that's called attentional residue. And what that means is that when you switch between tasks all day long, right? You're checking Instagram between emails or between calls, you're checking this app. There's a residue of attention that lingers and it has an impact. It lowers our focus and it increases cognitive fatigue. So we get to the mid part of the day or mid-afternoon, and it's like, man, we're beat, right? Brain fog. It's so hard for me to focus. I feel so tired. Yeah, no kidding, because all day long you've been switching between tasks and your brain isn't built to do that, right? There's a residue on that. It's lingering and it's having an impact. So what does that look like? Well, for me, it looks like being pretty strict, I guess, if you will, about phone boundaries. Like no phone in the first 30 to 45 minutes of my day. I do not keep it in my bedroom. I keep it downstairs in a place that I don't even walk by until after I've like had my morning time, woken up my kids and started to get them ready. I do the same thing at night, right? It doesn't come upstairs with me. And I have a nighttime routine that I need time to wind down before I fall asleep. So it gives me a good hour to like get upstairs, wash my face, right? Do what I got to do, read, and then like fall asleep. All of that happening without looking at my phone. Maybe it's putting do not disturb app when you're working, or during family time, or having apps on your phone that block certain apps so you don't get sucked in. Because the reality, you guys, is that your phone is not neutral. It's not neutral territory. It's not energy neutral. It's designed, like there are people in Silicon Valley who are paid millions of dollars to study and learn and design these things to keep you hooked, right? To keep you activated, to keep your attention. So we really have to fight for this. We really have to set boundaries and give our nervous system fewer of these micro stresses to process and more chance to downshift into a state of calm. Okay, so that's the bottom line here, really is just that healing and regulation aren't going to be this one big thing, right? That you do once in a while and then you come back to it next year. It's not how it works. It's about building a lifestyle where your nervous system gets the message, not once, over and over, right? You're safe. It's okay. You're cared for. We've got this. There's enough time. There's enough money. We're healthy. Our kids are okay. We can rest. And for me, these 4 things we talked about today: processing emotions, following, honoring, listening my body's cues, spending time in nature, and having really strong boundaries around my phone and screens, game changers. Do I do these perfectly? Of course not. I'm a human being. I have kids, I have life. But let me tell you, when I prioritize these things, I notice it. I feel the shift, right? More patience with my kids, more creativity at work, more focus, more presence in my life. That's the payoff, and it's worth it, friends. So maybe choose one of these today, right? Which one are you going to choose? You're going to choose to process emotions when they come up today, because they probably will. Maybe it's that you're going to stop ignoring when you have to go to the bathroom, or you're thirsty, or you're hungry, or you're tired. Maybe you're going to get outside today over lunch, right? Eat, take your lunch with you, go sit outside, walk around, sit on a bench, sit in a park. Or maybe it's going to, finally follow through on those boundaries with your phone. Give it a try. I promise you, your nervous system is waiting for it. And there's going to be such a good impact. There's going to be such good fruit from that. All right. I love y'all so much. Thanks for being with me today. I'll talk to y'all soon.
If you love Mommy's Podcast, leave a review.
Thanks for listening to Alive and Well. If today's episode resonated, would you do me a favor? Take 30 seconds and leave a 5-star rating and short review. It really helps to get this show out to other people just like you who could also use the information in this podcast. And if you're ready to take the next step in regulating your nervous system, download my free Nervous System Reset Guide. It's linked right in the show notes. Inside, you'll find simple, body-based practices to help you feel more clear, calm, and connected starting today. Make sure you're following the show so you don't miss out on what's coming next, because you were made to thrive. Fully alive, fully present, and fully well. I'll see you soon.